Welcome back to the Book Bros. I'm one of the Book Bros. My name is Stefan. Today we're going to be talking about Tales of the World Devouring Serpent, written by Banana Panting. For a quick synopsis of this novel, our main character Fang Yun finds himself reincarnated into a snake with a system all his own. But the system has a thing that it needs it to do. He has to have Fang Yun as a snake get a certain amount of reputation, 10 million to be exact, or the system itself is going to just delete his soul and he's going to just die forever. My thoughts on this book: it's a very interesting book. I really like how he gets reincarnated into a snake and the system is forcing him to do something, like get the 10 million reputation, or the system just outright kills him and he can't reincarnate anywhere else. But the only thing that I find annoying in the first 100 chapters is that when they show him gaining reputation with the humans that are on this planet, it's like small little subplots that I don't really care about. It's just like, oh, all these people for a chapter watched them on YouTube, and they never sort of appear again. At least in the first 100 chapters, that only happened twice, with 2 times the author took you away from the main character and showed another character's point of view, like a human's point of view of the reputation that he's gaining. And I find that very annoying and like really takes me out of it, especially when like I want to see the main character do things, or if the characters like that the author shows does reoccur, that will make it better. But at this time, with them not reoccurring at all or very much, it's just so annoying when the author takes you away to another point of view of someone that either is brand new, that you have no idea about, never introduced before, and it's just showing you gaining, like him gaining the reputation, or that they're going to be showing up, but like I just don't care about these other characters or these small subplots for like a whole chapter, essentially. Just give me more of the main character, more of like his thought process and like what he's going to be going through day to day, instead of this random like reputation gaining chapter that it's like, oh, this is how he's gaining all of it. But I just don't care. Just if you're gonna do that, just make it a reoccurring character, and that, in my opinion, that would be better than just random people watching him on YouTube to show that he's gaining this reputation. But other than that one annoying piece, him being a snake and still having the thought process of a human, and over the 100 chapters of, you can see him slowly start thinking more on the lines of a snake or a predator than being a human. It really takes it. It's like the story is really interesting, and I'm really excited to see where it goes past this. But like I said, other than the random reputation chapters where it just shows random people like watching him or discovering him or something, it's a lot more exciting following him in those chapters that do follow him and his thought process on what he has to do to get that reputation or get bigger just to survive, so people don't capture him and put him in a zoo, essentially. So the overall rating for this novel, at least the first 100 chapters, the plot is very interesting. It's very engaging. I really enjoy seeing that situation that the main character is put in as being reincarnated as a snake, and having the system essentially like pressuring him to get this amount of reputation before the system just like, nah, you know, it's been too long, you're past the time limit, you're gonna die now. It just ends him. It's a very interesting plot, so I would give the plot a 4 out of 5. I really enjoy it. For the subplots, which are mainly one doctor that discovers him, like a university professor discovers him, that those small subplots of just like, oh man, there's a really big snake, or whatever's happening in this first 100 chapters is really interesting. But the other small subplots, like I said, the first reputation chapters is what I'm going to be calling it. It's just, they're so annoying, and I really dislike all this is happening, or like the character that it's following and like that character's character, right? Like the personality. Some of them are just bad. I'm just like, I don't care about their personality at all. Near chapter 100, he like introduces a bad guy, essentially, and I just don't care about his character at all. It's just so annoying trying to read through those chapters. I'm just like, get me back to the main character, because these like small subplots, personalities of these sub characters that might be happening like in the future of this novel. I just don't care. It's like, they're not, in my opinion, they're not good. These subplots are just very kind of annoying to like the main plot of the novel. So I'm gonna rate that like a 1 out of 5. I really hate these subplots, like a lot. They really just pull me out of the novel and just make me not want to read it every time I hit one. Like I almost skip like almost like I'll skim through most of those chapters, those reputation chapters, because I'm like, okay, yeah, he gets a bunch of reputation, okay, a bunch of people see him on YouTube or something like that, okay, cool. But that's like the most of the chapters. There's nothing about him, what he's doing in the chapter. So it's like, for me, it's like a skippable chapter. It's like, nah, I don't care. I'm like, cool, he got a bunch of reputation. That's all that this chapter is essentially telling me. So just, it's a skip. So 1 out of 5, 100%. It's not great subplots. For character and character development, the main character's character development over the stages, over the first 100 chapters, being reincarnated into a snake and him having the mind of a human really is interesting, because he starts becoming more animalistic. Like he starts becoming more feral. He gets used to being attacking things, eating things, like hunting for survival and stuff like that. It gets very interesting how his interaction with humans also, just because he is a snake, right, and he can't speak human tongue at all or anything like that. So his thought process of him being like, hi, I'm a top predator, like I am big, I am scary, like stay the hell away from me, essentially. It's very interesting to see that, and just that small character growth of him becoming way more aggressive than he was as a human. Very interesting to see. For, like I said, for the character developments of the sub characters, that I just don't care. Like that, I don't find them very interesting compared to the main character and what he has to go through, and it's just annoying when I have to read about them. When they do pop up, it's cool, but like you don't get a lot of personality, a lot of character development in these other sub characters. They just are there for those reputation chapters. They just, that's the reason that they're there, and it's just kind of really annoying to read them. So, but for the character development, I would give it a solid 3 out of 5, just because it is slower going up for this character development, just because he does have a thought mind of a human, and he's more going the opposite way. He's not like really growing as much. He's like, this is for survival, and like his thought process of being a top predator and stuff like that is really interesting to read. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. For the foreshadowing and plot holes, there isn't a lot of plot holes just because of the way that the book is written and the way that the character is. He is a snake with a system, and so he can grow and do a lot of things. There are some things, plot armor does have some of that sometimes, or that I find that it's just very convenient that he gets a certain thing before something happens. It's just one of those things, that author's right. Yeah, it's a very common. That's probably the only thing for for the plot holes, just because he gets covered by plot armor, essentially. For foreshadowing, the main character talks about a lot of things that he wants to do and where to go and how to survive and how to do certain things. So most of the foreshadowing is the character being like, the main character being, I'm going to go here to do this so I can get bigger or grow or get stronger or get certain prey so I can evolve and do these things with my system. So that's really the only foreshadowing you get, besides the, like I said, right like around chapter 100, or it was just slightly past chapter 100, you get a bad guy, and essentially that foreshadowing of like them meeting with something happening. But like in the first 100 chapters, there's like zero foreshadowing essentially what's going to happen. It's just mostly the main character being like, I'm going to go here to do this, to get bigger, to do this, find more prey, so on and so forth. So only real foreshadowing you get. So I'm going to give it probably a 3 out of 5. It's still interesting because you get the thought process of what the main character is going for, what he wants to do in the future and what the novel is, but it's okay. The plot armor kind of like brings it down a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's convenient that he randomly got this thing that he could do now, right before this thing happens. So, it brings it down a little bit. So I give it a 3 out of 5. Solid 3 out of 5. For the writing, editing, and translation, it's actually really good. I didn't find a lot of editing errors or translation errors when it came to reading this novel. We sometimes are really bad as like machine translations that are then edited, and it can get really wonky when it comes to some of these things. But the translation, editing, and writing of this novel is fantastic. It's really engaging when it's the parts that you want to read. And so yeah, just give it a read. You won't find any issues when it comes to the writing and editing and translation of this novel. So you shouldn't be taken out. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. I find it fantastic and good editing and writing. My recommendation for this novel for people to read, teens to above, it's not that hard of a read. In my opinion, there's nothing's going to be really taking you out. It is a reincarnation system story, and some people might not like that, but it's a fantastic read. Yeah, so pick it up. Well, if you like this sort of content, stick around. There's more on the channel. If you don't like this kind of stuff, I have a buddy Alexz on the other episodes. Over there, he does fan fiction. Check him out. Once a month, we do novel review where both of us are on screen talking about the novel that we just read and doing about the same thing. So if you like this kind of content, or you like our personalities, I guess, stick around. There will be more. Thanks for watching. Bye.